Like when you see another guy you're friendly with and you give each other that nonverbal head nod greeting. What's the difference between chin up and chin down? Story 1. Upwards. What's up, man? How are you doing? Acknowledgement of our knowing each other. Invitation to start talking. Downward. Acknowledgement of respect, agreement, understanding, and/or wariness of each other or the situation at hand. Edit. Thank you, everyone, for the awards. I appreciate them greatly, and I'm glad we apparently have a near-universal form of communication. Story 2. Chin down is more respectful, more like saying hello. Chin up is more informal, and more like saying, what's up? It depends on the audience. I would probably never start a job interview with a chin-up head nod, but I would greet my friends with one. Story 3. I grew up in a lower-income neighborhood, so doing the nod up to a stranger is a pretense for an argument or fight. I know it sounds immature, but that is how it goes. On the flip side, nodding down to a stranger is almost subservient and a sign of weakness or submission, which is something you do not show. I know this sounds ghetto, but it is a different perspective from a socioeconomic standpoint. Story 4. I agree with the posts here. Furthermore, I usually give the upward supportive head nod to people around my age. For older gentlemen, I usually go with the respectful downward head nod. Also, growing up in a neighborhood area, I would usually give the supportive head nod to young street individuals as I pass by. It's a mix of acknowledging each other but also indicating, I see you. Don't mess with me and I won't mess with you. With the right body language, it shows you belong in that neighborhood and you're not a mark or a victim. If you're walking in a bad area, the downward head nod could be seen as a sign of weakness, although not always. The worst thing you could do is avoid eye contact or look away or down at the ground as you walk by. Story 5. Is it strange for a female to do the upward head nod? I've always done this with friends and family if I'm in a situation where I can't verbalize a hello. Some guys have mentioned they're surprised at my doing this but didn't seem weirded out either, so I've kept doing it. Enlighten me, please. Story 6. Chin up can mean anything from a friendly, what's up, brother, to do you want some motherfucker? Depending on context. Chin down just means hello and is always the safe bet. Story 7. Chin up to your friends. You're exposing your throat to them. Chin down to people you don't know well. You acknowledge them with a gesture that indicates you don't think you're better than them. Story 8. I know this has been answered, but I'll add something. I've heard there's a subliminal message between the two. Head up is for someone close because it exposes the throat, which is a natural signal among predators, like dogs or wolves, that says, I respect you enough to expose my weakness. One wouldn't expose their throat to someone they don't know, which is why it's heads down for those people. Story 9. The nod depends on context and other nonverbal cues, like the tone of the conversation, facial expressions, and general body language of those involved. Some of the common meanings are downwards, acknowledgement, respect, conceding an argument, greeting a stranger, hey, upwards, confused or puzzled, threatening, greeting an acquaintance, how's it going? Story 10. Upwards nod is for acknowledging a friend or close relative. Downwards nod is acknowledging a stranger or someone you don't particularly get along with but still tolerate to an extent. You don't nod to your enemies if you have any. Story 11. Interesting. I think I never thought about that before. But I think I always nod upwards with someone I'm more close to and I nod downwards with people I'm not that familiar with or with older people. Story 12. Downward nod is more respectful. It's like tipping a non-existent hat, which has always been a gentleman's greeting. Upward nod is very informal and is typically used between the boys. It can also be used in a disrespectful manner towards someone older. Story 13. Downward means, I don't know you, but what's up, dude? Upward means, I know you, what's up, dude? Edit. After commenting and seeing how many other guys agree with this, feels good, man. Story 14. Evolutionarily, upwards head nods expose your neck, a place of weakness. Showing this vulnerable area is a sign of friendship. Lowering the head in a protective stance in the animal kingdom is often seen as an act of aggression. Sometimes bowing lower isn't a sign of submission, but more likely in our case, it's a similar head motion but a more subdued one, protecting our neck instead of leaving it open. This demonstrates that we acknowledge, but are not comfortable in the situation to be informal and friendly. Story 15. I remembered a psychologist somewhere saying that it has to do with the neck and our survival instincts. When we nod up, we trust the person with our most vulnerable place, our necks. Hence the exposure. When we nod down, it indicates an acknowledgement of the other person while letting them know that you are cautious of them, but you are still open to being approached. I thought it was pretty cool, but I wish I had a source to back me up. Story 16. I read an article once about the psychology behind this. Chin up is a sign of trust because you're exposing your throat, which is a big target in animal fights, so we instinctively protect it. Whereas chin down shows distrust or unfamiliarity and covers the throat. However, if you grew up in a ghetto like me, chin up can be a signal for picking a fight if you're not careful. Story 17. There's actually some more primal things going on here, or at least I've heard. A downwards head nod is done in more of a respectful situation with someone you may not know as well because you protect your neck by tilting your head down. With someone you know and trust, an upwards head nod reflects that feeling as you're showing your neck. It's like a sign of trust to do an upwards nod at an instinctual level. Story 18. Downward acknowledges and respects another man's presence, usually a stranger. Indicates there is no problem with you. Upward more of a what's up. Normally, you smile at the person if you know them. Story 19. I generally use the upward nod for friends, and downward for a formal greeting to anyone I don't know if we make eye contact. But I feel the facial expression is everything. Examples: upward nod with a smile. What's up, man? Downward nod. Hello, sir/miss. How are you? This one is used only for my best friends. If they look sad or angry, upward with a concerned look. Everything all right? You good? If I don't like their response or they shake their head, downward nod with a more stern look. Do we need to go talk? Do I need to remove you from this situation quietly so no one notices? Then they nod in agreement. So I walk up and ask them a vague question or if they can help me with something to get them away from a conversation or group that is bothering them. It's probably my favorite way to communicate. Story 20. One goes up and one goes down. Up is what's up? Or did you need to see me? Or I need to see you. Down is I see what you did there, or nice, or well played, or thanks. Story 21. Nod down, hello, I acknowledge you. Mostly used on people that are not your friends. Nod up, hey there. Mostly used on people that you already know. I would say the nod down is more formal, while the nod up is more relaxed. Story 22. Up. What's up, man? How are you doing? How have you been? Down, howdy, have a nice day. Up with crazy eyes, yo dog, what are you looking at? Possibly want to fight? Down with crazy eyes. Damn right. Story 23. Nodding up exposes your throat, thereby showing trust and respect to the other person. More formally used as a friendly signal to people you may know. Nodding down protects your throat, showing more distrust and unease. Used more for strangers or people you don't like. Both are used for acknowledgement and are usually unconscious acts. The upwards nod is friendly and open, while the downward nod is still friendly but more closed off. Can't even remember where I learned or read this. Might have been a movie or a book of some kind. Story 24. Well, I understand it in the way that if you nod up, you show the other person your weakest point, which means that you trust him and you put your life in his hands. The downward nod is the acknowledgement of his presence, but you don't trust him. Obviously, this is exaggerated. Story 25. Stems from primitive existence acknowledging someone you're familiar with. A head nod up exposes the neck, showing trust. Greeting a stranger with a nod down protects the neck while showing non-hostile intention. Story 26. Up is for people you know or like. Down is for people you don't know or like. Turns out it's totally a subconscious thing, and we don't even realize we're doing it. Story 27. The upwards one will be like, yo, what's up, man? And the downwards one is more like, hey, I acknowledge your presence and I respect it. I don't really know how to explain it. Story 28. It actually has roots in primal instinct. Chin down shows respect but also protects oneself from an attack by guarding the throat. Chin up is relaxed and friendly and leaves one exposed to a lethal attack. Story 29. I read somewhere that the downward nod is usually used for greeting strangers and the upward nod for friends because you expose your throat. No clue if it's true though. Story 30. Up shows your throat. It's a sign of trust and respect. Down shows that you see them as an equal while respecting them by lowering your head. Both are used as signs of respect. It's basically a social distance handshake. One includes a hug, while the other is just a firm handshake. Story 31. I have no idea how true it is, but I read somewhere that we nod up to people we know because we are exposing our neck and it's a sign of trust, and we nod down to people we don't know or trust as well. Story 32. Upwards is for someone you know, more of a greeting. Downwards is for someone you vaguely know but don't know personally, like the neighbor from down the street, the guy who works on the same floor as you, or the guy who rides the same bus as you every morning. It serves as a general greeting and show of respect. I'm pretty sure the downward nod comes directly from tipping your hat at someone, which in turn comes from lifting your hat off for someone, evolving from taking off your hat entirely, which originates from taking off your helmet or visor to talk to someone while in armor. It all means the same thing, respect and a basic greeting. Story 33. I nod up when I see a friend. It's usually accompanied by asking, "What's up?" When I cross the street and a car stops for me, I look at the driver and nod down. Story 34. An up nod is meant to be noticed across a room. I need to make sure that the recipient can get it, and it doesn't matter to me if other people see it. A down nod is more private and conspiratorial. I don't really want other people to see or get it. It's just between me and the recipient. Story 35. Upwards is an informal greeting or can be used to convey a wish to fight. Facial expressions play a significant role. Downwards is a formal greeting and an acknowledgement of another person. Story 36. What's up or fight me? I respect and acknowledge you or take the shot. And the car wave is kind of like dogs barking. You are in a car. You are also in a car. Story 37. I never really thought of it before, but I always use upwards as a more informal gesture for, "Hey, what's up?" and downwards as a more formal, "I acknowledge your presence, but nothing needs to be said." Story 38. An upper head nod is usually more active. It is used as a casual or energetic greeting. It can also be emphasized by jerking your head up quickly, in which case it is a challenge or aggressive gesture. A lower head nod is more passive. Its normal use is seen as a more formal and respectful acknowledgement of the other person. It also has a second meaning with emphasis that if a lower head nod is done slowly, it is generally a sign of apology. Story 39. Chin down is, "I got you, fam," and carries more respect. Chin up is more of a "Hey, what's up?" or "Yeah, you got that," and can be followed by a nonverbal yes nod. Now that I think about it, it highly depends on context, and chins can actually mean a lot. Story 40. Upwards can also be a fight instigation method. Nonverbal, sometimes followed by rhetorical questions such as, "Do you have a problem?" or "Do you want a knuckle sandwich?" Downwards can also mean "Do it." Story 41. Down. I approve of you and what you're doing. That is all. Up. I see you. I may want to converse with you. Both equally mean hello, good day. Story 42. I always viewed them from an animal kind of view. The upward one as, "I know you and we are friendly. My neck is exposed." The downward one as, "I am unfamiliar with you but acknowledge your presence and intend no ill will, but my neck is protected just in case." Story 43. Downward nod moves your jaw down, protecting your soft, exposed throat from attack. Nodding upwards exposes that area and removes your vision of the other person, leaving you vulnerable to attack. One acknowledges presence while respecting the possibility of a threat, while the other denotes comfort and familiarity. Similar to how the depth of a bow changes with formality and comfortability. Story 44. Down hides the throat as a sign of respect, as if to say, "You are a worthy opponent. I acknowledge your power. Up exposes the throat as a sign of vulnerability, as if to say, I trust you with my life. Here is my weak point. I know you won't harm me. Story 45. I've always thought of it as chin up equals what's up. I trust you not to hurt me. Chin down equals what's up. I'm unsure if you'll turn on me. Story 46. The downward nod can also be used as a less friendly form of acknowledgement. For instance, you and the guy your ex-girlfriend is now dating see each other. You give a downward nod with a serious expression on your face to say, I see you and I know who you are. It's not a threat, but it's a way of acknowledging him while saying we aren't friends. Another example could be if someone you are friends with messed up on something. After you work it out, you go back to an upward nod or a downward nod with a more pleasant facial expression. Story 47. Down is almost a bow, a respectful acknowledgement of your presence. Up is informal, like, what's up? It's for the same people I'd give a fist bump to instead of a formal handshake. Story 48. Upwards head nod invites some sort of response, be it another head nod, a hello, or to start a conversation. Downwards head nod is an acknowledgement of someone but with no desire to interact. Story 49. Down is a sign of respect. By lowering your head, you're acknowledging that they are at the same or a higher level than you are, while up is more of an informal hello such as what's good or what's up. Story 50. Upwards head tilt is for friends. You are exposing your neck, so it is for someone you trust. Downwards is acknowledging someone, but you don't want to expose your neck. Story 51. It's so weird never seeing this explained anywhere, but everyone does it. When you read these comments, you realize that everyone does it for the same reason as you, and there's no verbal communication about it, really. Story 52. Upwards. Acknowledging someone you know. Either a mutual hey, and move on, or a hey, let's talk, and move over to start verbal communication. Downwards. More formal. I nod down when I make eye contact with a stranger and don't want to just stare at them like a psychopath. Also done as a silent tip of the cap to someone who did something worthy of acknowledgement.